Yes, people, wife boy, and today we are ranking all 20 Premier League managers. I'm putting them in a tier list. Go elite, potential greatness, does the job, and out of their depth. Now, I'm doing this off managers that started the season, and there's been a couple casualties. So if you're a new manager here that just joined the club, you get a pass for today. I'm not going to slag you off, or I might have praised you, so who knows. But yeah, if you're new idea, if you enjoy football-related content, please consider subscribing on my road to 700. So yeah, I'm going to know order that is given on the tier list, and that starts with Arsenal's manager Mikel Arteta, which of course is my club. Started the season horribly, but he started to pick up some form. Mikel Arteta, he started to pick up some results. 9 unbeaten now, I believe. A lot of clean sheets, one of the best defensive records in the Premier League. And with Arteta, honestly, I'm not just saying this, biased or not biased, whatever. I'm putting Arteta in potential greatness. Of course, he's not elite yet. He hasn't been in the league long enough to be elite. He hasn't been a manager long enough to be elite. But I do see potential greatness for Arteta. I see a system there, and I see some kind of confidence in his ability. I love a manager that shows confidence. He's shown some naivety at times. Of course he will. He's a young manager. No one gets it right off the first time. But I see potential greatness in Arteta. And I do think he's better than some of these managers on the list that are older than him for sure. Next, we have, I believe that's Bruno Lage, Wolves' manager. For me, I'm going to put him in does the job, right? He's at Wolves. He's obviously taken off from Nuno, who's gone to Spurs. He's doing the job right now. Wolves actually started decent. They're doing all right. There's obviously going to be an adjustment period with him in place. They've still got the Portuguese squad going through, and have employed a Portuguese manager to keep that theme at the football club. He's keeping things ticking over for now. I don't think I could put him in potential greatness yet because he hasn't been, I believe he was at Benfica before maybe. So he hasn't been at a top club or anything to show me that he could be potentially great manager. But yeah, I'm just going to put him in does the job for now. Rafa Benitez, for me, he's an elite manager. He's been around the game long enough. Everton manager now, of course, he didn't really have problems going to Everton, but there was backlash because of his association with Liverpool, Everton's main rivals. But you cannot fault the man's pedigree. He's won everything in the game. He's managed the top clubs in the game. He even managed Newcastle when they were struggling and literally carried them at that time before they got their ownership. So yeah, you cannot fault Rafa Benitez in terms of his managerial ability, and he's an elite manager. Next, Patrick Vieira. Wow, I'm going to put Patrick Vieira also in potential greatness. Now, what he's done on that Crystal Palace side, granted, I haven't watched a lot of Crystal Palace this season, but I saw them yesterday when they took over, when they went to the Etihad and beat Man City. Not an easy feat. Obviously, they got a point against Arsenal, my club. They're playing good football, Crystal Palace. They're playing very, very good football. They're playing exciting football. And they've got a style. Some of these lower teams, they play one of two ways, these lower teams, right? They either play on the way of, let's just get results, or they play on the way of, let's build a style, attractive football. He's implementing the attractive football. He's got the young players coming in. He's got the workhorses. He's got players like Olise, Eze. Obviously, Zaha's taking over. Edouard's looking like a great signing. They're making cheap-ish, buying from the Championship and buying from the Scottish Premiership, signings on a cut budget, young players, and turn them into decent footballers. Like, he's got a plan in place, Patrick Vieira. Of course, he's young manager. He's a complete opposite of Roy Hodgson, who obviously was ancient. Let's be honest, the geezer was old. But yeah, if Patrick Vieira could bust case and just like stay as their manager and not get them relegated, I could see him growing with Crystal Palace. They got a young squad, a young manager. Everything's going in place, and you can't fault the man's footballing ability. He's someone you have to listen to. It's not like a manager that's just a dead footballer. You're thinking, what kind of football knowledge do you have? Patrick Vieira was one of the best footballers in the Premier League. If you can't listen to this man and take advice from this man, who can you take advice from? So yeah, Patrick Vieira, potentially great manager in my opinion. Next, Ralph Hasenhüttl. For me, he does the job, right? I can't put him in potential greatness because he's a bit old now, and I think he's kind of reached his peak. But I don't think he's out of his depth because the man has got bounce back ability. Wow, honestly, bounce back ability. The man's lost 9-0 on 2 separate occasions and kept the job. Now, if I'm running a football club and my manager loses 9-0, I'm sacking him that night. So I don't know how he's managed to bounce back and keep the dressing room, but he's managed to do it. That shows he's got some kind of ability with him. Managing Southampton, let's be honest, Southampton are not the same Southampton than they were a few years ago when they had the Manes, Van Dijks. The Southampton team that used to feed Liverpool players, feed Arsenal players, they're not that team anymore. There's been a massive drop-off from Southampton. I can actually, if they continue on this current trajectory, I can see Southampton get relegated in a few seasons because they're on a downwards trajectory. Obviously, Ralph Hasenhüttl has done his best. I think he does do the job. I don't think he's at fault. I think it's more the players. There's a lack of quality in that Southampton side. But for me, I'm not judging Southampton. I'm judging the manager, and Ralph Hasenhüttl for me does the job. I don't necessarily think he's capable of getting a better job than Southampton, but I don't necessarily think he's out of his depth. Next, Daniel Farka. For me, the geezer's out of his depth, man. I'm sorry to say it. They have got 2 points from their opening 10 Premier League games. They've not won a single game they've drawn to. Look, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Norwich, Colchester, Arsenal, Man United. I don't care who you are. You got to win one of your first 10 Premier League games. You have to win one of them. And he's not won a single game. He's been in the Premier League enough times now so that he knows what the league is about. It's not like Brentford where they just came up for the first time in 40, 50 years. The man's been in the Premier for a while now. He should be able to at least get a result. He's out of his depth and he needs to go. I like his style, but he just can't get results. And style alone isn't enough in the Premier League. In the Championship, yeah, maybe, but in the Premier League, you need results to accompany, and he just doesn't have that. Next, Steve Bruce, one of the casualties this season. Of course, he's left the job after Saudi takeover. For me, Steve Bruce, did I think he was out of his depth? I don't even think so. I think he does the job, to be honest. Now, does he do the job for what Newcastle want? No. I don't think he's going to be that manager that's going to win them the league if that's their ambitions. But does he do the job for what Newcastle were at that time? Yeah. I don't think Steve Bruce is a bad manager by any means. I think, of course, he's out of his depth because of where they want to aspire to be in Newcastle. They've got new owners, the biggest net worth out of all owners in the Premier League, out in all world football by a country mile. Are they there to buy Newcastle to keep them in a Premier League just relegation battle? Obviously not. They're there to challenge for the Premier League, Champions League, etc. Is Steve Bruce that man? They obviously don't think so. I can understand that thinking. So he's out of his depth. Logical reasoning. But they're trying to run before they can walk. They've sacked Steve Bruce before they even got into the players in place. A better man, they could employ Klopp, Guardiola. With those crop of players, they're not reaching European football. They've literally got Alan St-Maximin, that's it. Alan St-Maximin are a bunch of nobodies. Joe Willock maybe, okay, he's alright. But it's literally Alan St-Maximin carries that team. They need to get the players in place first, then get the manager. I don't necessarily think Steve Bruce was out of his depth for Newcastle. I think he will be out of his depth when they replace the players. But I think they replace the manager before they replace the players. But yeah, there we go. Next, Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche, for me, does the job. He's not potentially great because he's got one style and he just utilises that style. He plays Brexit football. He plays ugly football. He does what he can. His players are not amazing at football, but he does what he can with a limited squad and plays to their strengths. And that's what any good manager does, right? The good managers, the managers that have the limited budget, they play to the strength of their players. Other managers like Pep Guardiola that have the money, that have the budget, they play to their strengths and just buy players that suit their style. A manager like Sean Dyche, he knows he doesn't have the money. He just plays the style of the players he's got. Maxwell Cornet is excellent signing though. Excellent signing. And he's utilising him well. And to be fair, they got a decent win against Brentford the other day where they won 3-0. And he's a manager that does the job. I don't think he's potentially great. I think he's reached kind of where he will be. I don't think his ceiling is any higher than where it is now. But I don't think he's out of his depth neither. I think he's good enough to get a Premier League job. Next, we have the Watford manager, the first casualty of the season. I guess out of his depth, to be honest. Like, he got sacked after 4 or 5 games. I don't know why they necessarily sacked him. Of course, Ranieri, I'd rather have Ranieri than this geezer. Because Ranieri obviously won the league with Leicester City. He's no bum, he's no casual, he's a good manager. But he hasn't looked much better under Watford. I think their players are a problem. Josh King's a great signing. Ismail Sarr is a great player. They obviously lost Troy Deeney, which I think I would have kept it personally. Unless he honestly wanted to leave. Keep him just for some locker room kind of presence. They've got Ben Foster cycling GK, which gives them a bit of relevance. Because other than that, they're a bit irrelevant. Let's be serious right now. But yeah, my man, he's out of his depth because he did get sacked after 5 games. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, a topic of hot debate. Ole's at the wheel. For me, Ole's at the wheel, but he's out of his depth. He's out of his depth. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not a Manchester United manager. I said it when he came in. I said it even when he was on that blistering run where he didn't lose a game for 19 games, etc. The man was out of his depth from the minute he walked through the door. Why? Look at his pedigree. Malmo and Cardiff. And now you go on to manage Manchester United. Now, I don't care if you're a club legend. I don't care if he was the best thing since sliced bread. You do not get the Manchester United job. The Manchester United job is the biggest job in world football. Okay, Premier League definitely. World football, arguable, Barcelona, Real Madrid, etc. But the biggest managerial job in the Premier League is Manchester United. It is on par to be the biggest club in the Premier League alongside Liverpool. If you're getting that job, you need pedigree. Manchester United don't sign a manager that did well at Malmo and Cardiff. You sign a manager that did well at Real Madrid, Barcelona, etc. He was wrong to be employed. He's done what he can, but in his defence also, I don't think he's that manager that can manage personalities well. Manchester United have a lot of players that think they're better than they are. I'm gonna be real with it. I'm not a Man United fan, so I'm not being biased in terms of that. I'm just saying they have a lot of players that think they're better now. Is Paul Pogba a good player? Yes. Is he the best midfielder in world football? Not by any stretch of the imagination. but the man thinks he is. He plays like he is. Bruno Fernandes, excellent footballer. The fans and players treat him like he's the best midfielder in world football. Like, they have good players, but they don't have world beaters. He's managing players that think they're the best footballers that have ever played the game. Harry Maguire is not the best centre-back in the world. They stopped treating him like he is. I think they need a better manager that's going to manage these personalities and actually going to give some of these players a wake-up call. Some of these Manchester United players are not playing like they're Manchester United players. Like I said, Manchester United, Liverpool, they're the two biggest clubs in England. When you put on that shirt to play for those clubs, it's a different feeling. You have extra weight and extra responsibility. And some of the players that play for Manchester United don't play like that. And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has not done a good job to manage them. He's too much of a nice guy. He needs to be a bit more firm and a bit more, not nasty, but be a bit strict in his reviews and stuff. And yeah, I think he's a bit out of his depth. Next, David Moyes. David Moyes is an elite manager, man. I'm going to say it as it is. What he's done with that West Ham side is unbelievable. Now, he was excellent at Everton. I don't know if some of you don't remember this because it was back in the day. And then he took over the Manchester United job through recommendation via Sir Alex Ferguson. And this is a classic case. I'm going to mention this again in the video in a couple managers down the line. Where he's a great manager, but he wasn't the manager for that club. He wasn't the manager for Manchester United. David Moyes is an elite manager. It doesn't mean you're the manager. Just because you fail at one club, it doesn't mean you're a bad manager by any means. Just maybe you're not the manager for that club. Style, etc., players, etc., situation, environment, something just doesn't work out. And I just think that was David Moyes at Manchester United. At West Ham, he's flourishing. He's got his players in place. Obviously, he's got less pressure. I think maybe pressure was a thing for him. Manchester United, like I said previously, is the most pressure job in football. With less pressure on the West Ham, he's got more kind of space to implement his ideas, with less of the press on him, less of the media, less expectations. And he's done really well. West Ham started the season really well. I thought maybe they'd drop off from the season before where they got Europa League. They're maintaining a great run in the Europa League and a great run in the Premier League. Everything's coming up roses for David Moyes and West Ham United. And yeah, he's an elite manager and he's proving it. Okay, Bielsa. Bielsa also is an elite manager. Look what he's achieved in football, man. He's been around the game long enough. He's got his tactics. Of course, he's very stubborn in his approach, which will be his downfalls why he's not a GOAT manager. But he's an elite manager. Leeds have started the season fairly slowly. I feel like that's kind of a very bad point because they tend to drop off as the season progresses due to their style of play, being very, very demanding physically. But he's an elite manager. He's been around the game long enough. He's an exciting manager to watch. I watched the All or Nothing Leeds documentary. I don't think it was All or Nothing for them. I think it was like Take Us Home or something. But yeah, whatever. I watched their Amazon documentary on Leeds, and you can see the way the man analyzes stuff. He analyzes it with a fine comb. Every detail. He scrutinizes every single decision, every decision that players make, officials make, etc. He keeps very, very. He literally treats it like, I don't know how to explain it. He just fine details everything and make sure everything is on point. He's a perfectionist in that way, and he's an elite manager. Graham Potter, elite manager. For me, Graham Potter is the most criminally underrated manager in the Premier League by a mile. Criminally underrated. This man is an unbelievable manager. And what he's doing with this Brighton side, honestly, I think it needs to get more attention. Brighton started this season so well, and what he's doing with a struggling squad is he's getting results, and he's giving them a style as well. Now, for me, obviously, I'm an Arsenal fan. I don't like Tottenham. For me, Tottenham should sign Graham Potter. I'm gonna be real with you. They should sign Graham Potter. He will do really well at Spurs. I'm confident in it. I think he's a perfect manager. I think it's about time that he makes a step up in his career. I think he deserves it. Look, he's been around Brighton obviously for a few years now, overseen that project, and he's taken them to a point where I think he's taken them as obviously you saw the start they made this season. They literally overcome every expectation. But there's only so far you can take this Brighton side before you go, I need to step up in my career. And he deserves it. He's getting to the age now, he's not going to get any younger. He needs to take that step up while he still can. And I think he deserves it given what he's done at Brighton. Next, Dean Smith. Dean Smith for me does the job, man. Like I don't think he's anywhere near Graham Potter's stature. Obviously he did well at Aston Villa last season. I think they had an underrated squad. This season they're struggling a bit, losing Jack Grealish, and they made good signings, but it just hasn't seemed to gel together. Team chemistry one way or another, but he's a manager that does the job for me. I don't think he's out of his depth by any means at Aston Villa. He's done well last season. Obviously, the season before they almost got relegated, but yeah, Dean Smith is a manager that does the job. Nuno Espirito Santo. Ooh, now it's a tough one as well, just like Ole. For me, he's out of his depth. Now, is Nuno a bad manager? No way. He's not a bad manager. For me, he's not a Tottenham manager. I said this when he signed. When Levy came out and said he wanted to bring the attacking philosophy back and then signed Nuno Espirito Santo, that made absolutely no sense to me. Those two are mutually exclusive events. Sorry, they're mutually exclusive. You can't demand attacking football and sign Nuno Espirito Santo. He's literally a defensive counter-attacking coach. He's back 5 FC. He literally played it his whole time at Wolves. If you want to sign an attacking manager, fine, but don't sign Nuno. Nuno's manager plays counter-attacking football, plays boring football, but gets results. Now, they've started the season 5-5, 5 wins, 5 losses, 15 points. Not bad, considering Arsenal on 17, Man United on 17. But his style of football is horrible. There was a stat came up the other day. They run the least. They obviously are not playing for the man. And it's another case where I said earlier where Nuno Espirito Santo is a good manager, but I don't think he's a Spurs manager. I think he's out of his depth for those top 6 clubs. I don't think he deserved of a top 6 club job. I think his step up would have been him going to Everton, for example. Obviously, they won't replace Rafa Benitez because Rafa Benitez is a better manager than Nuno Espirito Santo. But I'm saying that kind of level where it was that step up from Wolves to like the Evertons, and then after you get to the Evertons, then you go on to the top 6 clubs. But yeah, Nuno Espirito Santo, I think he's out of his depth for Tottenham Hotspur. But the problem is who they replace him with, because obviously they went for Conte, he wasn't interested. I don't think he'll come now, even if they sack Nuno. Like, who they really get? For me, you got to go for Graham Potter. Will he leave mid-season? If you offer good enough money, like, money talks, man. So you could get him. But yeah, Nuno Espirito Santo, he's only had a few... I guess his defence has only had a few games. You can't give the manager, like, 10 games and sack him. You have to give him a bit more than that. Give him at least a season. But yeah, for now, I think he's out of his depth. Jurgen Klopp. For me, Jurgen Klopp is the GOAT. He's the best manager in the Premier League. And I'll debate anyone and anything on that. He's the best manager in the Premier League because he manages players and he's adaptable and he's flexible and he's just that guy, man. He's just that guy, pal. Like Jurgen Klopp, what he did to that Liverpool squad, honestly, is taking them leaps and bounds. He's done it without spending loads of money. Yes, he spent 70 million on Van Dijk, but he spent that money with the Coutinho money he gained. With the money he gained from losing Coutinho. He lost Coutinho, his attacking player, arguably one of his best players at the time. What does he do? Sign an attacking player to replace him? No. He fills 2 other voids in his squad, a goalkeeper and centre-back. Buys Alisson. Alisson was not the best keeper in the world when they signed him. Bang, he's the best keeper in the world right now. Signed Van Dijk. Van Dijk was not the best centre-back in the world when they signed him. He's the best centre-back in the world right now. Man management. Robertson got relegated with Hull City. He's the best left-back in the world, arguably. Look at that, man. He converts players and he makes them world-class. Difference between a manager I'm going to mention in a couple managers down the line, Pep Guardiola, is Pep Guardiola signs world-class players. Jurgen Klopp makes them. That's what I'm going to say. Jurgen Klopp is a world-class manager for me. He's a GOAT manager. He's the best manager in the world, and I'll defend him. He's my favourite manager. I would have loved him at Arsenal. He's at Liverpool. Fair play. I'm happy for him. Brendon Rodgers. For me, Brendon Rodgers is an elite manager. Now, this is exactly the same. I'm going to explain it exactly the same as with David Moyes. When he went to Liverpool, it was too much of a step up. Like, Liverpool, Man United, the 2 biggest jobs in the Premier League managerial-wise, and he was so close to winning the league with Luis Suarez. Obviously, Luis Suarez carried differently. That man was an absolute animal. Like, literally, the man was a monster. He was an assassin in front of net. And he bottled it. And he got unfair criticism for that because that Liverpool squad was awful, man. Like, it was really bad. Like, they had Sturridge starting. I don't care if Sturridge played well that season. Sturridge is not a good footballer. They had young Raheem Sterling. They had some dead ballers in that squad. Yet he still managed to milk everything out of them to get them to finish in second place. So yeah, I think, and then he obviously went to Celtic to rebuild his confidence and his style. He's gone to Leicester now, and he's obviously Leicester kind of they won the league, then they fell back a little bit, and he's brought them back up to challenging for top 4. They're finishing consistently in Europa League. Can he make that next step to get them into the Champions League? Who knows? That'll be the test of his managerial ability. I think in terms of the elite managers, he's on the lower end. I can't really put him in potential greatness because I think he's proved all he can in the world of football. I don't think he can prove any more in terms of like his age wise. I don't think his ceiling is much higher. If he can just get them into that top like that Champions League spot with Leicester, he'll prove his eliteness. I don't think he can get a better managerial job. He could get the Tottenham job. That might be interesting for him. But yeah, elite manager Brendon Rodgers. Pep Guardiola as well, and this is going to be controversial, but I'm putting him in elite as well, man. Pep Guardiola is not a GOAT manager. For me, Pep Guardiola is not comparable with Jurgen Klopp. Pep Guardiola is an excellent manager with the players he's got. He's a very selective manager. For me, Pep Guardiola is that type of guy where if you don't do a job for him, calm, he'll just spend 50 million, 100 million and get a player that does do the job for him. And he gets results because he buys expensive players. It's the end of the day, man. He's a great manager, don't get me wrong, but he needs his players to get results. Jurgen Klopp, on the other hand, he doesn't necessarily need the players. He can get results from anyone. He's got James Milner starting games and getting results. Do you get what I mean? There's a difference in quality. Pep Guardiola has the best players in the world, so he gets results. I'm confident that if some of these other managers had the squad that Pep Guardiola had, he would get similar results to Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola has won the league. Yes, cool, fair play. He's won the Premier League. It's not an easy task. He hasn't won the Champions League though. That's what Man City are craving for. Man City won the Premier League under Pellegrini. They won the Premier League under Mancini. They didn't win the Champions League under them too. Guardiola's had a few seasons now. He's had a good 5 seasons or so, 4 or 5 seasons, and he's not yet to win the Champions League. So, can I really call him the GOAT? He's won a League Cups. Yeah, cool. He's won the Carabao Cup, man. Like, let's be honest, who cares about the Carabao Cup? He's about the only manager that takes it seriously. Let's be real with it. For me, you can call it controversial, you can call it what you want. For me, Pep Guardiola is not a GOAT manager. He's an elite manager. He's a top elite manager. But for me, the GOAT is Jurgen Klopp, and he's a second manager behind Jurgen Klopp, or third manager. Like, let's be real, he's not comparable to Jurgen Klopp in my opinion. So for me, he's an elite manager, but his necessity to spend money limits him for me. Because for me, to be an elite GOAT, to be a GOAT manager, you have to do it with a strained budget. Of course, you have to spend money as a manager. It's the way it is. You can't get Premier League, Champions League results from a squad of just plumbers and butchers. You need to spend money, but how much you spend, it will limit my personal opinion on you. If you can do it with a limited budget, I'll give you way more props than if you can do it spending 200, 300 million. Okay, next, Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank's potential to be an excellent manager. He's potential to be a world-class manager, in fact. What he's done to start the season with Brentford, amazing. Obviously, he's a passionate manager. He's tried a few seasons now to get to Premier League and finally made it happen. And it looks like he's worth it because they're doing well. There was no sign of them coming to Premier League and going, we made it here now, let's relax. They put their foot on the gas, they put their foot on the pedal, and they're trying to stay in this Premier League. And to be honest, these next 2 seasons, this season, the season after, will be pivotal for Brentford. If they can stay in the Premier League these 2 seasons, then they can start to continue building their squad, building their brand, building their style, and they can stay in the Premier League for years to come. And Thomas Frank is a perfect manager for them. He's a potentially great manager. He's started this project here, and he's finally made it past that hurdle to get into Premier League football. And good luck to him. And I think in a few years' time he could get a better job than Brentford, but for the moment he's sticking with them, and fair play. Finally, okay, and then elite manager, Chelsea manager. Of course, he won the Champions League. Tuchel. Don't know how to pronounce it. German guy. Yeah, German manager's just elite. Let's be real with it. One of the best managers in world football. I'm going to put him GOAT just because he hasn't had the longevity in the Premier League enough. And obviously he didn't win the Champions League with PSG even though he took them to the final. That PSG side was good enough to win the Champions League in my opinion. But yeah, I'm going to put him in elite because he did win the Champions League with Chelsea. He's looking like an excellent manager. If he wins the Premier League this season, I'll put him in GOAT with Jurgen Klopp. Them two can share the GOAT position. But for me, he's elite for now. He's an excellent manager, Thomas Tuchel. He's great at Dortmund, great at PSG, and he started excellently with Chelsea. Chelsea's squad is not as good as Man City's squad, but the way he's getting the results from these players is excellent. He's getting the results from these players, and he's rotating his squad a lot, using a lot of different styles. And yeah, excellent manager. But that's just been my list on Premier League Manager 2021-2022 tier list. Let me know if you agree or disagree with where I put these certain managers in the comments. A couple of controversial ones. But yeah, I've been Whitefoot. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing on my road to 700, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.